Happy springtime, my friends. It is here. We cannot deny it, can we? Take a little walk around the neighborhood and see all the growth and beauty springing up. I want to welcome you all. Shani, there you are, zooming in. There's Barbara. I see Bev and Nirja, of course, Chris, Bill Eckert. Hi. Coming in from California, yeah? Yeah, I see. That's a picture of Earl down there. If you can open your cameras, I appreciate that, to have the faces I actually look into. Maura Sky, my friend, there she is. Wesley, welcome. Melissa Sweetbird will be accompanying me in poetry today. I see Sherry's name down below. I'm glad you're here, Sherry. Steve Apology. I always have to stop and remember how to pronounce Apology, Steve. And Jim Patterson, so nice to see you. Coming in from Seattle? Yes, great. Wayne Harrison. I see Lori or Bailey Cunningham coming in. Andrea. Greetings, Andrea. Andrea and I have the same birthday. I'm going to be talking about birthdays. Michael Williams, greetings, the photographer. Who did I leave out? Did I say Chris Williams? I think so. David, Joel, and the room. I can't see the room very clearly, but is that Nancy Miller sitting out there? Hi. Greetings, all y'alls. I welcome you into this sacred space where that physical space of the room and our virtual space of the screen somehow comes together as one. Feels like separation? Look again. Is there some way in which these boundaries fall down and we're all one? Did you know that the center has a YouTube page? Now, I love YouTube. I mean, you can look up any teaching, any sort of thing on YouTube. Center for Sacred Sciences. Look it up on YouTube and you'll find all of these talks and various things we have available. Talks of Joel's that go way back, the most recent talks of the teachers here, and some other things too. So what I would like is for everybody to subscribe. You actually hit the subscribe button. That helps us know that people are interested, that we should keep putting our effort into this channel. And then if you actually watch something, would you be so kind as to put a like on it? That way we know, oh, okay, it's working. They're watching. This works. So that helps us, and it helps the algorithms for our channel. Likewise, we also have a page on Facebook called Friends of CSS. This is a group page. This is a page where you could come on and say, look, I have this photograph from 20 years ago, see, from the center. Or you might ask a question, a spiritual question. But moreover, Tom is always updating the announcements on that page. So we want to get some traffic coming through there. We know there's a lot of people involved, but are they actually seeing our announcements? Okay, so did you know that spring equinox was last Tuesday? I had it so circled on the calendar, but I knew the groundhog was going to be right, that it was coming early, and you could see the signs of it everywhere, even when it gets real cold at night and then it warms up during the day. So I want to welcome the season of renewal. Yes, my talk is about aging. It sounds a bit grim, but I want to welcome the season of renewal, which is what we call the springtime here in this hemisphere. And we're going to have a prayer. We'll have a prayer from Bev. I think it relates to springtime. Is that right, Bev? Okay. And then we're going to have some poetry as well about the spring. That will be myself, and Sweetbird will do some poetry. And then we'll go into this topic of age and aging on the spiritual path. Now, quite a few of you have volunteered to be in discussion with me on this. So it's not just me talking all the time, but I have Shannon, Laura Betty, Wesley, Bev Forster, Barb Dewey. Is Jude out here anywhere? Jude, did you make it in? if you're here or she comes late. And I also have a written submission from Robin Rutherford and even a report from 11-year-old Henry. So all of that's going to come together and we're going to have a discussion about aging and how is that a spiritual matter? Okay. And all the things that come into play with that. So good. If you feel shy today, you wanted to speak up about something, and you felt shy, just go ahead, just burst on through. Take that opportunity to share because this is community and we want to build community. So, if we hold everything back, it doesn't work as well. So just see what you can do today. So we will have a mindful meditation, about 10 minutes coming up here. And what I'd like to have now is Bev, my friend. She's a prayer chaplain. And I found that all I have to do is say, Bev, could you have a prayer on such and such and come and deliver? And she says, yes. So we'll listen to the prayer. And then I'll ring the bell once. And then we begin the meditation. And then at the end of the meditation, I ring twice. And then Sweet Bird, I will do the first poem, and then you follow me with the second poem, okay? So it'll work out smoothly and beautifully. So I'll turn it over to Bev.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm sharing a prayer from the website gratefulness.org, which is the website of Brother David Standell-Rast. And this is called in case I forget to say it enough, a poem by Rosemary Tromer. Thank you for this day, made of wind and rain and sun, and the scent of old-fashioned lilacs. Thank you for the pond and the slippery tadpole and the wild iris that opened beside the pond last week, so pale, so nearly purple. Their stems already flagged and bent. Thank you for the yellow morels hiding in the field grass, the ones you can only see when we are already on our knees. And thank you for the humming that rises out of the morning, as if mornings are simply reasons to hum. What a gift, this being alive, this chance to encounter the world. What a gift, this being a witness to spring. Spring in everything. Spring in the way that we greet each other. Spring in the way the golden eagle takes to the thermals and spirals up to where we can barely see the great span of its wings. Spring in the words we have known since birth, like glory, like celebrate, like joy, like namaste, like thank you. Dear Great Spirit, thank you for everything. Amen.
So we sit together with those beautiful words still vibrating. And we might consider we all heard the words, and the words are vibrating in all of us. And it's a good time to just relax into that and feel the body where it is. No need to change position. Just feel the body relaxing into this quiet moment. In this quiet moment, you may have noticed thoughts arising, and you may have forgotten you were meditating. As long as you notice the thoughts, just notice, here comes one, there it goes. Then there's no problem. It's always good to come back to the breath. The breath is here, reminding us, breathing in, breathing out, in awareness, knowing it. If you notice yourself lost in thought, no problem. Just come back to the breath. It will show you breathing in and show you breathing out. Watch that closely. And in just a moment, we'll do a synchronized bow. Just hold on a moment. Okay. Just bringing up our hands like this and coming together right here. And we bow to the teachings coming to us so freely these days. Thank you for the teachings. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. It's very sweet space in that silence, just gorgeous from my end of it. Okay. You should be hearing a little bit of music. Yes, a little bit? Good, thank you. It's going to get a little bit louder as it goes. I wanted to give you a poem. It's called a prayer, actually. It's the spring equinox prayer, from what I can tell from the Celtic tradition. The dancing hare foretells the spring. With the fertility and the new life this time does bring. The springtime goddess dances the earth as seeds and flowers come to birth. Tulips and daffodils come into bloom, and life sprouts from the Mother Earth's womb. Chickens lay their eggs now that light is growing. Catkins and blossoms on the trees are showing. The sun reaches forth with its hand to the maiden of flowers return to the land. Their dance brings new balance into our life, planting the seeds to overcome strife. We grow with the flowers. We grow with the trees. Winter's gloom banished on a sweet spring breeze. The joy of new birth enters our hearts as we look forward to springtime from the start. We grow with the flowers. We grow with the trees. Winter's gloom vanished on a spring breeze. And now, Sweetbird, would you like the music or shall I fade it out?
Fade it out, please.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Does everybody hear me okay? Okay. At the equinox turning of the earth, the first greenings come to the woods, micro leaves just being born. Fairy flower bells drip down in perfect tiny white cups. Snowdrops faithfully push up through last fall's leaves with lavender crocus. Pink plum trees litter the paths and hills with a blizzard of petals. I welcome the seven sisters of Pleiades, Cassiopeia's water girls, and the waning crescent moon, silently watching me in the midnight blue before dawn, their glittering beauty reminding me how easy it is to be happy. The crescent moon is leaving now to enlighten other towns. Farewell, dear friend. The giant fir feathers its descent. Farewell. First spring dawn in a while to be in the clear presence of stars, moon, and not fog. I love fog. I love stars more. So easy to be happy, sweet bird. This political crazyville, waning pandemic, war in Ukraine, and tragedy in Gaza has not made it easy for me to find optimism. Yet nature's wonder surrounds me as I gaze upon it. I walk the tree line and breathe in the moon's waning joy. It lights my heart. Remember, remember. I come to the river of the spring melting, rising and rushing over the ancient stones, reflecting the sparkling constellations, rapids and 100 birds singing the old chants of living and dying. The river releases my sorrows and fills me with things I can't always name. It fills me. The orange glow of future sunrise now. Goodbye, stars. The bright planet Venus flashes to catch my eye through the branches as the darkness goes. Goodbye, little lights, crescent, and planets. Perhaps you will return tomorrow. The birds insist my day has begun with their loud, heartbreaking melodies. The crabapple with its white crown bows to the firs as the twinkling spring morning is unfolding. We share our joy in the rising glows of rose and gold, expanding across river and mountains. So easy to be happy.
Thank you for that. Beautiful. That's original poem, yes? Yeah, that's a sweet bird poem. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so to those who have joined in the last few minutes, welcome, welcome. Come on into our sacred space here. I'm going to be talking about aging and the spiritual path. And, you know, as children, many of us are programmed to believe that our day of birth is our special day. On the anniversary of that day, we deserve extra attention, gifts, parties, food, cake, celebration. We deserve that. Some of us are programmed this way. Some here, I'm sure, did not have kids' birthdays. I did. My family did this. We had kids' birthdays. The cousins all came. The school friends came. We had cake. We played pin the tail on the donkey. For my birthday, they brought presents. So I thought that was pretty special. I thought February 27th, which I share with Andrea, was the best day of the year. February 27th. Something always happened that day. And you know what? I always got older on that day, at least by the calendar. And I got attention as a child. So that was programmed into me that I would get attention on my birthday. And when you're a kid, you know, age is like a badge of honor. I'm 7 years old now. I'm 7. You might even go up to a stranger when you're 7 and say, I'm 7 years old. Today's my birthday, right? Such a happy occasion. I'm 7. You know, aging didn't concern me in childhood or even in teenagehood, but I do recall that at age 15, I remember this just very vividly in high school, so it would have been as a sophomore before I dropped out, sitting on the floor of the bathroom, the girls' bathroom, and I was sitting there thinking, I'm 15 now, I'm an adult. This is it. I've made it. I'm an adult. But I was miserable. I was a miserable 15-year-old because I couldn't conform. I just couldn't be like what they were saying we should be like. It didn't feel right to me. Can you all identify with that? Who else felt that way at around 15? I don't want to conform with, all these blind sheep doing this and that. So I was pretty miserable at that age. But, for some of us, there are milestones that seem very serious in this life stream. And for me, it was the age of 30. 29, 27, because that matched my birthday, but 28, okay, 29, but 30, oh my gosh, the thought of 30. By the age of 29, almost 30, I had earned a BA in broadcasting and filmmaking and was offered a professional job by the same university. And I was 27 when I took that job, which was in radio. And I stayed 5 years. So within that time, I felt as though I was being dragged, kicking and screaming toward the age of 30. Oh, 30. It just sounded horrible then. As I approached it, getting closer and closer, counting down the days, I had this tremendous fear and anguish over moving out of my 20s and onto something that seemed old. 30. These days, I love to hear of someone who's turning 30 or 40 and trying to tell them, you don't know how young you really are. What is it we used to say, we old hippies? Don't trust anyone over 30. Why did we say that? Vip, are you out there? Why did we say, don't trust anybody over 30? Do you remember that expression? What was it about 30 and being over 30? You couldn't trust anybody. Well, maybe it was about establishment. Those 30-year-olds, they were buying the establishment. Maybe they were hippies and protesters before, but now they were just settling down into life. And I didn't want to settle down. The word settle down, that made me just cringe. I'm not going to settle down. But I was worried that 30 meant establishment, and look at me, I got the college degree and I'm working the job and paying into Social Security and doing the whole thing, I'm doing it too. And so I had to really look at this. The worst part of it all was that I was telling myself stories. So here I am, 29, just about 30, next day 30, and I'm telling myself these stories. You're lost. You're just lost. You haven't lived up to your potential, and now you're too old to live up to your potential, 30. You're a failure because you're trapped in a job. You've done it. You should have left 2 years ago from this job and moved on to something greater. These stories were full of fear, like, oh no, it's too late. Now I wasted my life, 30. Fear of aging and fear of being discarded by society. That was coming up for me. Fear that I was too old now to succeed. Doesn't that sound silly now? I mean, most of us have been at the center for more than 30 years, something like this. And then looking back to those feelings you have at that young age and what you think old really is. Yes, I had stereotypes about old people, old age, sickness, and death. That's what you've got to look forward to in this life? Please don't make me go there. I don't want to. I think I can get around this somehow, this old age, sickness, and death thing. I think I'll be the one that masters this. But for the rest of the time, just push it aside. Let's not look at that. Let's not look at old age. Now, because I recognized the suffering I experienced around aging, I began to look at my sorrow. What were all these feelings about? I saw sorrow patterns. Every birthday that would come around, sorrow, leaving childhood behind and the kids' parties and all that. I felt like something was missing on my birthday. Was I actually unloved? Was I actually unappreciated? I was seeing this need every birthday. I had this need to be loved and appreciated on my birthday. Where's the balloons and the candles and the cake? Why aren't people coming to me and creating a party around me? So I decided to confront that in my 30s. I saw this arising and I decided to confront it. Is anybody identifying with what I'm saying here? Am I the only odd duck out that ever... I see, yeah, Wesley, good. Okay, yeah, Bev, okay, good. So I'm getting there, right? Getting into that place that we share. I recognized how I longed to be remembered on my birthday. I would feel this big buildup. It's coming. And I'd feel for sure I'm not going to get the recognition I deserve. They're not going to do it. They're not going to send me a card. They're not going to call me. They're not going to give me a surprise party. La. Story's going. I get the card. I get the call. Still, I'm saying, nah, they're not going to do it. So the story was going round and round. Did I create my own reality with those thoughts? It occurred to me to turn it around. Instead of expecting attention, or notice I'm expecting attention, I would give you attention. I might call you up. It's my birthday. Can I take you out to lunch? Sure. Sure. I might send you a card of appreciation. Thank you for being in my life. What a great thing you've brought, to my life. So instead of waiting for birthday cards, sending them out. And then I started a practice I kept up for how long? At least 30 years of sending my mother a card of appreciation on my birthday. Thank you, Mom, for the hard labor that you went through. And you kept me alive. I mean, there I am, birthed, and you kept me warm, you kept me fed. Thank you. And she loved that. She went around telling all the relatives, Mary sends me a card on her birthday. And if I were late, she said, where's that card? Where's my card? So I got something there. Turn it around. You want something? Well, give it. Just keep giving it. It doesn't mean that you're going to then get back the gifts at the door or whatever the case. But that act of giving, it neutralizes that neediness. I needy. You following me on that? Yeah. Those cards from my mother were handmade. Laura Betty, they were beautiful cards. And she and I, we're kindred spirits in the card business, right? So it was a good practice, but ultimately, I still lived in the story of I, in which I could never be happy or free. So I want to suggest to you that when you live, you identify with the story of I, that's who I am, this is the body that I am, this is me. There's suffering there. There's suffering there. And the spiritual path is about finding liberation from that story of I and from that suffering. I was still still living in the story at that time. In my early 30s, I recall writing out a life plan. And I wish I could find it because I never throw away anything I've written. I don't know where this is. But I was sitting in the radio station studio and I was planning ahead for my life. Okay, 30 was a bust, right? 30 was a bust. But I wrote down at 40, I would be a known independent filmmaker. By the time I was 40, I'm going to be a known independent filmmaker. And by 50, I was going to be the director of astonishing documentary film. And by 60, I would be an award-winning novelist. I thought by 60, I'm going to be old and worn out, and I just want to sit around the house writing. Whereas before that, I'd be out in the field with cameras and movie making and so on. But guess what? I didn't achieve any of those goals. What did I write down for 70? That's why I wish I could find this, because now I'm 70. And what did I think I wanted for 70? I don't know. I can't find it. If I ever find it, I'll report back to you. But these goals, these ambitions were not met because by the time I was 35, I was hot on this trail of spirituality. The number one centerpiece of my life, the calling to truth, whatever that truth may be. I wasn't worried about trying to figure anything out. I just wanted to go ahead and offer up this heart that was being called, had been called in childhood and was continued to be called to this source. At 35, I was at Brighton Bush Hot Springs. You know my story. I've told it many times. I had an awakening. You may say it's an opening. You may say it was epiphany, a realization, a self-realization. To me, it was a life-changing moment because a light went on for me that is still lit today. And so that which passes through the mind is lit, as though I'm looking at a play on a stage with stage lights. When you are awake in the moment, stories about the past, what I've already lived, and stories about the future, what I'm going to live, it just falls away. It's irrelevant when you're in the present moment. All that falls away. So if I find myself dwelling in the past, story of eye arising. It's not that I don't remember the live stream. I remember the pin the tail on the donkey. All those games and presents and stuff. I remember that. But I'm here now. There are no more questions like, am I fulfilled? What's in it for me? These questions don't arise. How can I rise above the rest of you all and be really good in my field? I used to have that one a lot. How can I be the best in my field? Phew, that falls away. How can I improve myself? Falls away. But still the pattern remained in my psyche. I could hear it coming up on my left ear for some reason. No one cares about me. It's my birthday. No one cares. Here's proof they don't remember my birthday. Right? It's lit up like it's being acted out on a stage. When we identify as the I in the story of I, we suffer. There's no way around it. Its job, that story is meant to keep us captivated. Suffering does the trick. It really hooks us in. We worry there won't be enough time to accomplish anything, to achieve, to break through. We may feel that the older we get, the more invisible we become. And not in a good way. Who identifies with that? You used to get attention, and now people, it's like they look right through you. They're going down the street, or they see an old person walking along there now, instead of someone valuable. Let's erase that, huh? We may feel, though, that people don't want to take the time to see us and hear us. And that can make us mad. And it can make us sad. I have a few lines here I want to read to you that are from a memoir I wrote a few years ago. And this is just a few lines, but while sitting on a park bench, children rush by, playing. I hear two boys who appear to be from India or Pakistan, given their accents. "You're an old lady," one calls after the other. "No, you're an old lady," the other boy says. Is that the worst thing, the worst name they can call each other? Old lady? They run by screaming again, "Old lady, old lady." I'm the old lady, and they cannot see me. However, I've never been a lady. I don't wear the white gloves or high heels or anything. Anyway, it just struck me in that moment. The worst thing, they wanted to call each other bad names, and the worst thing they could think of was old lady or little old lady. Who wants to be called little old lady here? And we have a notion of what that means to be a little old lady. Don't call me lady. Don't call me old lady. But you're welcome to call me a 70-year-old woman, if you like. I'm performing for y'all here. So from, this subject is just multi-layered. There's so much that can be said about it. And I wanted to ask Joel, what do you think about this subject of the story of I, the idea of birthdays and aging, and the spiritual path? So I have a quote from Joel here. Joel says, "From what I've observed, the suffering that most people experience related to old age comes from the delusion that the I in the story of I is or has an impermanent body-mind which is beginning to disintegrate, and that once it's gone, they will be gone too. The older such people get, the more the story of I runs into a horror story. It turns into a horror story. Some of us have known horror stories coming up through that story of I. It just scares us half to death, with no happy ending in sight." Joel says, "This is why religious people generally don't suffer as much. Their identification with the body-mind is not absolute. They intuit there's something else the I refers to, a soul, a jiva, or jiva, a mind stream that will survive the disintegration of the body-mind. But that's still not the mystic's view." Joel continues. He says, "One of my favorite expressions of the mystic's view comes from the 14th century Christian mystic Eckhart, or Meister Eckhart, who says, quote, 'If the spirit were always united with God in this power, the man could never grow old. For that now in which God made the first man, and the now in which the last man will have his end, and the now in which I am talking, they are all the same in God, and there is not more than the one now. Now you can see that this man lives in one light with God, and therefore there is not in him either suffering or the passage of time, but an unchanging eternity.'" That's Meister Eckhart. Thank you, Joel, for that quote. Beautiful, beautiful. How are we doing? Good? All right. So I also have a quote from one of my favorite teachers, which is Llama Saring Everest. And some of you may have met her because she used to live around this area. Bev, did you know her, meet her? Yeah, she lives in Brazil now, where she is the resident Llama of Chagdud Gampa Otseling. And she broadcasts Dharma teachings in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition every Sunday. I was listening to her this morning, actually, and you can hear her recordings then on YouTube. I highly recommend it. She's always reminding us about the importance of a human life. I had people try to argue this with me. It's not important. There's nothing. Okay. She reminds us of the importance of the human life and the way we try to avoid impermanence. So let me quote her. And I'd prefer that you go look her up and hear her say these things. But anyway, she says, "This human life is an opportunity to free yourself from the causes and conditions of suffering and create the causes and conditions for happiness. But greater than those improvements is the direct experience of perfection, which is accomplishable in a human life, she tells us. That is the purpose of the human life, the realization of enlightenment. But we are too busy, Llama Saring says, trying to get more of what we can't keep. All these things are impermanent. We are too busy trying to avoid what passes away anyway. We're too busy pursuing personal happiness and well-being at the cost of developing selflessness, love, and compassion and wisdom. We'll sacrifice those things to try to get what we want. We try to find happiness in ways that cannot be successful. We are so busy, the Llama tells us, with impermanent phenomena. We are trying to get more. We're trying to get rid of. We're trying to get recognition and validation. We're trying to get praise and trying to avoid criticism. We have so many things we have to do, which means basically we miss the meaning of the first pillar of Buddhist thought. And that pillar is that everything is impermanent. Your body's impermanent. Your opportunities are impermanent, she tells us. Your accomplishments are impermanent. Your time here in this world is impermanent. And even the things you are busy doing are impermanent. They are not going to last, she tells us. We have to be able to recognize impermanence to be able to set a priority. Otherwise, we'll just pass the time. And that time isn't recoverable. We have a precept not to waste time in frivolous pursuits. Don't waste time. She says, it may sound silly when the Llama says everything is impermanent, and we say, oh, yeah, I know that. I've heard that before. But do you really know it? Or are you just thinking about it intellectually? Have you realized that life is impermanent? You can't have today back, she tells us. And you're not promised tomorrow. You're not even promised this evening or this afternoon. You know, this could be it, this hour could be it. We're not promised anything more. And so she says, so what are you doing with your time? With your precious human life? Which is an echo of Mary Oliver, a Mary Oliver poem, that one beautiful, precious life. And in my words, do you know how much energy we put into avoiding, how much I put into avoiding old age, sickness, and death at 30? Oh, I don't go to funerals. I would tell people, nah, I'm not going, forget it. Every birthday that comes around is a reminder of that pillar of Buddhism, impermanence. And I would like to add that as long as we reside in the story of I, we will create fiction around our life stream. Maybe I won't get old. Maybe they'll cure death in my lifetime. I have new knees. I can have all new parts. Who knows? I can get around this fiction, science fiction I'm creating all around this because I don't want to face the fact of impermanence. We push it away. We push it away. And then we're shocked. Someone died? Then it's shocking because our doors have been closed to that. Now it's here. Llama Saring also says, there will come a time when you will know it's impermanent. You just have to make sure it's not too late. Someday you get a diagnosis, she says, and you go, okay, life is not going to last forever. How much time did they say I have? And she says we have that saying that youth is wasted on the young because they don't understand what they're losing. And I ask, do we? Do we understand? First, I was 7. Yes, thank you, Laura Betty. Is that Sumitra sitting there? Hi, welcome, welcome. First, I was 7. I love props. And then I was 70. Is that right, Nirja? You know, my screen is mirrored, so it's backwards to me. Anyway, this is forwards to you. First, I was 7. Where did all that time go? Now I'm 70. Or is this more true? Joel, what do you think?
You can't even represent eternity with a 0. It's beyond, eternity is beyond time completely.
Beautiful, beautiful. I still like holding up the 0. She never did amount to anything. She was a 0. All those ambitions, where did they go? So I just turned 70, which I said last month, and I had a big Piscean delight at the Oregon coast, and it was wonderful. But I observed this big buildup that was coming, even weeks in advance. It was coming, it was coming. I didn't feel afraid of it in the same way as I used to. But what I realized then, when the clock, this time it was at 9:45 a.m., February 27th, that I went from 69 to 70. And Neeraj always likes to say, you've already lived your 70th year. Is that right? That's what you say? we like to think of it, oh, no, I'm just now starting 70. Well, actually, she says, she has a more scientific mind than I have. But I just felt like, well, 30 killed me. I thought I was going to die over that. I wore my friends out just agonizing over it. And they were saying, get over it, get out of here, We're sick of it. But 70 doesn't actually seem old to me. It doesn't actually, here I am now. 40 years later from that 30 mark. 70? I love it. I can smile with it. Sweet. I feel gratitude. Thank you. Wow. Isn't that something? When I was 30, I probably thought 70 was like way, way over the hill. Getting ready, better go check into some place where they look after me because, well, here I am now. I feel ageless, actually. I feel alive. And no more of that story happening. No more of that story. I do still, my mother has passed away. I can't send her the card, but I do still like to give attention on my birthday. And I think that's a fun way to celebrate the great good fortune of being alive. Right, Sherry? Sherry Lockman? The great good fortune of being alive. Yes. Yes. Now, my Dharma teacher, Ruth Dennison, she loved to celebrate. Some people don't like to celebrate. She loved it. She loved to celebrate Christmas, New Year's, Halloween. She would dress up. But most of all, she loved to celebrate her birthday. Her birthday was September 29. And she passed away in 2015. She liked to sing and dance for her birthday, no matter what her age. And she wanted us to sing and dance with her mindfully. On retreat, mindfully, we would celebrate her birthday. And she loved this version of the birthday song. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to me. Every day you are newborn. Every day you are free. Every day you are newborn, she would tell us dramatically. Every day you are free. So she worked the Dharma into everything. And we celebrated the Dharma with her. How hard is it to come to that moment of freedom in the moment? How hard is it to get there? Okay. Now, in the time remaining, I'm going to quickly read a short poem by Mary Oliver called I Worried. And then right after that, we're going to cut to Wesley, who has a short piece to read. And then right after that, we cut to Bev, who has a short piece to read. And then we're going to open it up for discussion. I know some people are ready to share some things, and I have some questions to pose as well. But we'll start with these readings, which will go relatively quickly. So this is a famous poem called I Worried by Mary Oliver. I worried a lot. Will the garden grow? Will the rivers flow in the right direction? Will the earth turn the way it was taught? And if not, how shall I correct it? Was I right? Was I wrong? Will I be forgiven? Can I do better? Will I ever be able to sing? Even the sparrows can sing, and I am, well, hopeless. Is my eyesight fading, or am I just imagining it? Am I getting rheumatism, lockjaw, dementia? Finally, I saw that worrying had come to nothing and gave it up, and took my old body and went out into the morning and sang. That's Mary Oliver. You can look her up. Wesley's next, and after that, Bev, you can just go one to the other.
I'm standing alone in a vast desert. I'm tethered to a large outdoor signboard that stands right in front of me. What lies behind the signboard, I do not know. Upon the signboard is printed my story of I, including all that I imagine to be me or mine. I'm so fascinated by my story that I read or listen to it almost all the time. But as I age, something is changing. More and more parts of my story are becoming lost. Memories fade, friends die, objects disappear. My story is getting a little hazy. But I notice, it seems for the first time, that when someone or something is lost, a hole appears in the signboard, right where each one used to live. And wonder of wonders, I observe that each hole retains the shape of what was lost. So whatever has been lost is still found. Each empty shape proclaims what has gone away. This has been happening all my life, but with aging it has become much more apparent. And my story has become like a lace tablecloth, with each hole having its own particular shape. And now there are more empty holes than cotton thread, for aging has opened so many. As I look through the holes, what do I see? What do I see? Why, it's my true self indeed. The open, clear, crisp emptiness of, may I say, myself. The open, clear, gentle holding for whatever shows up. I am that. I had so many glimpses of this during my younger years, but now, so ironically, my story of I, through its losses, reveals my true self to me. Give glory to the beloved, my friend, not to me, for it wasn't me who did this.
Thank you, Wesley. That's so beautiful.
Well, I took Mary Song's announcement about aging as a prompt that we used to use in her writing class. So here goes. Gracefully aging, or so the saying goes. As I look through eyes impaired by ARMD, age-related macular degeneration, thankful for sight-seeing eye injections, have only to surrender night driving, which shrinks my world to daytime adventures. Now there is a knee waiting for repair, torn meniscus, now no meniscus. Still waiting, months for surgical consult, more months for surgical intervention, waiting along with other aging bodies for repair. 2024, 80 years since 1944. Big 80, birthday looming. Sounds old, sometimes feels 100. Limitations, impermanence, reminders all to live in the moment, do what you can when you can, and be grateful for it all. Now spring's colors crest like a wave, undulating, green grass, flowering trees, brilliant, colorful flowers bursting forth, reminders all of new life, birth, and infinite potential. First and only grandchild expected in June. I'll still be 79, maybe not the oldest first-time grandma. Already loving that baby bump and stirrings within my baby girl's belly. New life, new expectations for mom, baby, and grandma. New roles to play, stories to tell. Gratefully accepted in the march of time. Release, receive, renew. Breathing in, I'm grateful for life's flow. Breathing out, I remember impermanence, accompanied by many blessings.
So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Bev. Phew. In a moment, we're going to open this up for discussion. Some questions that I wrote down, discussion type questions. What have birthdays meant to you? What are some of the stories you've noticed about aging? The stories the mind tells. Have you ever hidden your age? Past as younger, maybe. On the spiritual path, have you felt like you better hurry up and awaken before it's too late? Time's running out. Well, I asked Tom, I wanted to get a range of ages here, and I asked Tom if he would ask Henry, 11-year-old Henry, a few questions. And I have that here. So Tom did ask Henry. Henry's not there, right? No, okay. Okay, so my first question was, what is it like to be 11? And Henry said, people often treat me like I'm younger, and that feels insulting to me. I feel like being 11, I want to be treated like I am older, and I feel like most 11-year-olds feel that way. It's a great answer. And then I asked, what do you think it will be like to be 20? And that's not far off, Tom. Just think of it. 9 more years, and he's 20. So Henry said, I would guess probably I will be just like myself now, except a little bit more mature and maybe liking other things than I like right now. And then I asked, what age do you think people are old? And Henry said, 70. I guess I'm old, but okay, I accept. I would have said that too at 11. I would have said 50 is old. Well, anyway. So then I asked one of our younger members, Robin Rutherford, who can't be with us today, if she had something to say. And she said, go ahead and state my age and you can read this piece. So Robin is 47 years old, which means many years ago when she joined us, she was in her 20s. And we were all the old folks. And now we're still the old folks, and she's the younger one. So Robin says, I've been noticing with the emergence of varicose veins, moles, gray hairs, and fluctuating temperatures with perimenopause. Honey, we know what you're talking about. I'm becoming more aware that there is a limit to my time here. I've got this little reminder on my fridge that says today, not someday. And more often I find myself asking, why not? And just doing whatever it is I want to do with less hesitation. Aging has got me reaching out to my parents a little more and accepting that this is about as good as it's going to get and that I and they aren't changing. Dropping the inward battle over our differences has made it a little easier to spend time together. As far as a spiritual path, after 20 some odd years of trying to become a better me, I'm noticing that relaxing a bit. This looks like watching shows on Netflix that aren't designed to make me a better person, and indulging in songwriting over the act of meditating, because that's what brings me joy these days. I've even started pleasure reading fiction and have abandoned spiritual books, at least for now, she says. And I'm surprised to say that even though I find myself living an ordinary life in the middle of the Central California Valley, I'm probably happier than I've ever been, a strange paradox of some kind. So that's Robin Rutherford, who lives in California. So it's discussion time. I wanted to ask Barb Dewey, are you out there, Barb? Is Barb there? Maybe not. Okay. Let's go to Laura Betty. Barb was the first person to reply to me, so I wanted to call her up on that. So, so Laura Betty, you're on my list, and we also have Shani and a few other people. Let's just open it up and talk.
Well, first of all, thank you, Mary Song.
Pleasure.
Good talk, and I too, like Bev, just sat down and wrote. You can hear me? I look in the mirror and I wonder, who is this looking back at me? I remember how I judged myself in my youth, somehow never quite measuring up to some imaginary standards. Now, looking back, I have regrets that I wasn't able to relax and enjoy the unfolding of life. But I notice that in the stillness, that eternal sense of being is exactly the same. There has been no sense of change, no sense of aging. The nagging past pressure to fit in is gone. Gratitude and appreciation for friends, family, and events fill that space. By being involved with CSS, a path has opened. We're surrendering to what is has taken at least some of the fear of the unknown, mainly death, to be an interesting feeling of comfortableness. Wow. The face and the body are aging, but that, whatever is me, is exactly the same, unchanging. And now I'm wondering, if this unchanging me is that consciousness itself, something to be explored. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's beautiful. I think you should submit that to the next newsletter, Laura Betty.
Okay.
Yes, send it off to us. Great. Okay, let's see some hands up. Shani, I know you may have something to say on this topic. Other people, Vip, who'd like to speak up? Wesley, Sweetbird, Nirja. Good. Is that Jeannie?
Yes.
Hi, Jeannie.
Hi. I before I say something, I hope that I haven't told this funny story before, so I don't know. Will someone shut me up if I did? But I have a picture of myself, a photo of when in kindergarten. I was 5 years old, and it's not a really happy picture. I look kind of serious, as kindergartners do, and my hair is cut like really kind of weird, wonky, short in this funny way. And whenever I looked at that picture, I always felt a little sad. I would look back and think, oh, you know, there were a lot of kids in my family, and I didn't get a lot of attention. And Sometimes, I was forgotten about completely, and I probably was not a very happy kid. And why in the world would my mother have let me look like that on picture day of all things? And I always felt like it was really poignant when I looked at that picture. It created this whole image of my life and my suffering, and it was a story. And then not long ago, my sister was visiting me. She was 10 years older than me. She is 10 years older than me. And she saw the picture up and she said, "Oh, I love that picture of you so much." And I said, "Really? Why?" And she said, "Oh, don't you remember? The night before picture day, you cut off all your hair and you were so proud of your haircut. And Mom was so proud of you for being so proud. She put on your favorite dress so you could have your picture taken with your new hairstyle." I looked at her astonished, like, wait a second, that just blew my whole life story to pieces, about how pathetic and sad I was or something. She said, "Oh no, we were all so proud of you." So I don't know where that fits into the whole thing, but I thought it was kind of funny.
That's a beautiful story about how we tell ourselves stories to cause ourselves suffering. And what great good fortune to have a sister who was there, who can come and say, "Oh, we loved you. We were proud of you." Everything. And so that you can see very clearly, oh, I told myself a story.
Yeah.
And now it's gone. Is the story still there in you, or has it gone?
Oh, it just dissipated. And it dissipated with her laughter too. She was just laughing, and I could feel it just kind of, oh, there it goes.
Great. Thank you for that. Beautiful. I had to go get my driver's license renewed. And I was going to get my picture taken. And I noticed myself getting agitated. Oh, I'm going to go to the DMV and get a picture taken. Oh gosh, they're going to do it bad. It's going to turn out bad. It's going to be a bad picture. In 10 years, I got to carry this around in my wallet, a bad picture of me they're going to take. And we get there. We had to wait 3 hours. They took the picture. And the woman said, "Oh, it's a beautiful picture. You're going to like it." And I was sure it was bad. It's a terrible picture. I suffered for days. It's going to be a terrible picture. Picture comes. It looks absolutely okay. Looks okay. And suddenly I remembered in 7th grade, I had a bad picture. I'd forgotten that memory. I had a bad school picture and it hurt me so bad. My mom said, "Don't worry, we don't have to buy the picture. Let it go." And I thought, is this memory real? So I went through all the pictures that, Mom put together and there's one missing. So I didn't know I had that in there. I only knew a story that I'm going to get a bad picture. And it wasn't a bad picture. Who else will speak up? Who else has something to say about aging? Wesley, go ahead. Need to unmute. There you go.
Well, one of the things that kind of snuck up on me while I was doing this piece was that we often get into a dualism that we don't recognize, that I don't recognize, where, say, the story of I is something to be avoided and dispensed with and so on. But this piece says that the story of I is really the story of my enlightenment, if I can just pay attention to what's been lost from it, that each loss punches a hole. That what I oppose in life is really also a doorway to the light. Something like that.
I agree with you. The story of I can actually be a portal. It depends upon your awareness of it. If you're not aware of it, you're just living this story. But when you're aware of it, it becomes the window, it becomes the door that swings open. And you can, the story may continue. The story of I may continue. For me, I see it as an undercurrent, and it will try eventually, sometimes, to reach up there and try to get a hold of me, pull that hair down. But I see it. There's that story. So I'm not one to say, get out of here. I'm one to say, let me write a beautiful novel based on this. Let's turn that fiction into more fiction. Thank you, Wesley. Who else would speak up? Yeah, Vip, go ahead.
First off, speaking of the newsletter, I think it'd be lovely, not just Laura's piece, but if we could persuade Robin and Wesley and Bev and Henry, everybody who's shared, all those pieces are little gems, and it'd be nice to have a section in the next newsletter about this topic and the talk today.
I'm glad you brought that up because to me, this is all a sharing, and the newsletter is a sharing. It's news and information, and, whatever we put out there, we share with each other, and we connect in that way. You're not isolated out there having those feelings. We're all having this. So go ahead.
Right. In terms of my own contributions, I guess. Well, on that topic, a real massive disappointment for me that I never saw coming about this aging business is there's a big hole in our so-called culture here in North America about the acknowledgement of elder wisdom. It just really isn't a thing the way it's found in so many other places in the world that are more, you could say, indigenous or traditional cultures, where it's built right in to the whole deal. And here, you mentioned earlier, walking down the street and people see us as, oh, well, that's just another old person. John Prine wrote a great song about this, hello in there. Don't tune these people out. They've lived a lot of years, they've had a lot of experiences, and tap into that rather than kick us to the curb. So there's that piece which I'm kind of grappling with these days. Like we there's so many expressions, put out to what is it about, put out to pasture and all that business. Second thing, the infirmities part, which, I never spent much time dreading because I never imagined that somehow I would be on that, having those experiences. But of course, just like my old car, I'm going to have parts that start breaking down. And lately I've been seeing it may sound weird to some people, but I've been seeing the gift in that, because if nothing else is going to hit me on the head about impermanence, this certainly does. And it's almost like this phase of our life, the third or the fourth phase. Again, you find this in Hindu culture. These are all mapped out. Now we get to be the sage, at this final portion of our living years. And it's a time to look back at the whole fabric of our story and say, what did I miss? What can I go back on, or what do I still need to heal? There's a lot of selves in me that I'm pretending like, they're gone, they're no longer here, but that eternal now that Meister Eckhart talks about, it's all available all the time. And this is a portion of my life when it's time to look at, how do I wrap things up? How do I reconnect with stuff that I, pointlessly disconnected from, and all that business. So
beautiful.
The infirmities are like the body's going, hello, isn't it time you, took another look and did another assessment, and so forth.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Well said and well shared. And I'm going to call on Ellie, but first I think I saw Shani's hand go up briefly, Shani, and then Ellie.
I don't have much to add, and I feel deeply inspired by all the shares and the poems. And I think I may go back and really write something after this. I really resonate with all of what's been said. And for me right now, I mean, I have kicked and screamed about aging and I have fought it. I don't want this. I don't like it. And I knew as I was doing that it's a fool's game to do that. But it was good for me to do that. And it's been good to come to a much deeper awareness of the impermanence of all of this.
Mm.
And to face the dissolution of me even more fully. And as that process happens, there is a highlight. It's like a spotlight put on the story, on the little, I call them the algorithms of my thoughts. Those things that I just keep focusing on and they just keep appearing. They're the algorithms. And so just,
Mm-hmm.
really letting that go and being in present. So I'm not there. I have absolutely nothing new to share except that the process for Shani has been and continues to be. I realize this is something I could never have known or understood until I set foot upon this aging thing. And maybe it's like anything else, trauma, you really only know it when you go through it. But there is a beauty to the deeper acceptance and the welcoming of other aging people in my life. And I find I want to be present for all of us who are aging. My neighbor here in the desert where we're staying, I went to help her bring a heavy box in. She's on a walker and she fell. And so it was a privilege for me to help her. Probably took 20 to a half hour. It took a while. I didn't know if we were going to be able to do it. So, yeah, the journey continues. It's really a beautiful journey. That's all. Blah, blah, blah.
Thank you, Shani. And if you did write something up on that, I'd sure like to have it.
Okay.
Thank you. Wonderful. Is Ellie there? I don't see your picture, Ellie. Are you there or have you stepped away? Maybe she has a hand up. I can see that. Anybody else want to speak up? Anybody else have? Heart Song. And is that Sally next to you? I can only see you way distance. That's Sally? Yeah, come on up.
Nancy's.
Want me or Sally?
No, I
Both
didn't
of
raise
you,
my
one
hand.
at a time.
I was just realizing Sally was there because I could only see little tiny face. Yes, hi.
Hi, Mary Song. So Shani touched on this, but I just wanted to reiterate that as I'm going through this, I'm 80, or I will be very soon, and as I'm going through this beginning of dissolution of my body, where things are starting to show up, and of my friends as well, I'm gaining a much greater appreciation and love for things. And it's because of the impermanence, of course. I mean, because each little thing becomes much more precious somehow. And I really just wanted to reiterate that because it's been so important for me to have that experience. And there's one other element of it too that I find that as I'm able to let go of things and accept impermanence more and more, it seems to go to a deeper and deeper and deeper truth that is far deeper than any of the transitionary stuff that's going on in my life and in the world as I know it. And I don't quite know how to express it, but that I find also is happening. So.
And I call you Heart Song. Heart Song, you have a different birthday song, don't you? I mean,
Yes,
could you sing your birthday song?
Sure.
Or your birthday?
Happy birthday, we love you. Happy birthday, and may all your dreams come true. When you blow out your candle, one light stays aglow. That's the love light in your heart where'er you go.
Whoa, thank you. I love that. Woo, everyone's so talented. And there's Ellie. Ellie, you're up. We need to unmute you, though.
I'm not the talented one. I stopped video. I crossed that out by accident. So that's why I disappeared for a while. But
Okay.
that was kind of a lesson. To me, words aren't as good as silence often. And I'm sorry I'm not more talented, but I feel like, I'm kind of regret saying this for all my children here that have spoken up, because I'm 30 years older than you. And that's really amazing.
30 years older than me, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You sent me a wonderful birthday card. Thank you.
Oh, good.
What else can you tell us about aging?
It's just to be accepted, and it just happens. And
it happens.
I love it. I was interested the other day that somebody took my picture, and I think it was either Landmark that came by, or else it was my income tax. Somebody took my picture, and I was wondering what it looked like. It never occurred to me to even look at it. I don't know why not.
Did you look at it then?
No.
You never did?
I haven't yet. Maybe I will.
It's always good to hear from you, Ellie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are a little bit over time now. Is there someone there who really wanted to add to the conversation?
I think Sherry.
Sherry. Oh, good, Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, Mary Song. I told Mary Song I wasn't going to do this, but it seemed to me that I won't get another chance.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm probably the closest to the end of the line of everyone here. I have COPD, chronic obstructive lung disease. And I first learned about it when I was 4 or 5 years ago. They've been trying to find something wrong with my heart. And then they finally sent me to a lung doctor, and he came back from his diagnosis. He was almost happy about it. He said, "You don't have a heart problem, you have a lung problem." And I was at 52% then. And so I've had a long time to get used to this idea of dying. And I took Hiromi's class, and that got me started on a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
My voice is not working as well because it takes breath to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to share with you just part of a poem from E.E. Cummings. I've been looking for this poem for the last year and thinking it was by D.H. Lawrence. It's actually by E.E. Cummings. And it goes, "Oh, baby. Oh, dying is fine, but death, oh, baby, I wouldn't like death if death were good. For when instead of stopping to think, you begin to feel of it, dying's miraculous. Why? Because dying is perfectly natural, perfectly putting it mildly, lively. But death is strictly scientific and artificial and evil and legal. We thank thee, God Almighty, for dying. Forgive us, O life, the sin of death. Now, I don't claim to understand it. And all the time I was looking, I thought it would say the opposite of what it says. Like, oh, baby, I wouldn't like dying if dying were good. Death is fine, but dying. But I haven't found it to be so bad either. It's a process, and I used to think the only good way to go would be go in the night and just have it over with. But I'm really thankful for the way it's slowly taking me down. Day after tomorrow, I may not be able to get up out of my bed, but I suspect I will be conscious at that point. And yeah, it's an interesting process. I've gained about 18 pounds, and it's not from eating. It's that I take in more liquid than I'm able to put out. My heart doesn't pump the lymphatic fluid, so it's in my legs and my abdominal cavity. But I sleep through the night. Oh my, I sleep very well. I sit in this chair where you've seen me for years. Yeah, and I feel like I have permission. I'm doing two things basically. I nap a lot, so there isn't much time for anything in the day, but the two things I do, I'm organizing 5 years of writing with Mary song. Kids can find Sherry life stories and fiction and family stories, and there's another category.
Well, that's wonderful. I didn't know that.
I'm doing that. And I'm reading novels. I used to read virtual books all the time. But now that I know what I know, that I'm only knowing, I'm free. I'm free. I can do what I wanna.
Beautiful.
What I'm doing. Yes.
I'm so grateful to you for speaking up and sharing this with us. I think it was Ram Dass who said, "Don't worry, death is perfectly safe." Didn't he say that? Vip, did I get it right?
Yeah.
It was his teacher, disembodied teacher Emmanuel, who told him that. Yeah, don't worry, death is perfectly safe.
Perfectly safe.
I just heard that from our friend Jed the other morning. Breakfast with him, and he reminded me of that one.
Does anyone have a response to what Sherry said? Anybody want to say something? Yes.
I wanted to ask her how old she is.
How old are you?
Oh,
Yeah.
I just had my 85th birthday. I'm 85.
Well, I'm so pleased you spoke up, and I wish you Godspeed on your way.
Thank you. You're
My
ahead of me,
son-
Ellie, but not on this one.
Love you.
Yeah, I feel a great big heart opening just listening to your words. I just feel really receptive, Sherry, and I just feel a lot of love for you. You've been with us for a long time at the Center for Sacred Sciences, and I've only, since I started teaching the workshops, have gotten to know you and Wesley so much better. And I just, I still want to just be with you. So just want to be with you.
You are. We're all one.
Thank you. I'm glad we have this on tape too.
Yeah,
Mark.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm just furthering what you just said, Mary Song. Sherry, I've known you sort of at a distance for some years now, and you've always been inspiring in a way that, like, you've always been real, like really just plain and real and straightforward and wise. And even now, at the quote end, you're still being real in a way that's so helpful to receive. I just want to let you know you've always been. I've always felt that from you and always really appreciated it. I don't think I ever told you, but it's true.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Mark.
Let me speak up here too, Sherry, because I have COPD as well. I'm not. I don't think I'm as far along as you are, but I look at you and I can see that where I'm heading, and so thank you for sharing that. And I just want to ditto what Mark said. You've really been such a kind of an anchor here at the center all these years, I feel, and so we just really appreciated it. And I'll say one last thing. One of the things I've discovered, maybe it would apply to you, because I find that I can't jump up and do things like I used to do. I have to slow down. Everything's slowing down a little bit, and then I feel. But what that gives me a sense of is a bliss, touching into this bliss that's always there under the surface, but we're usually too busy to notice it. But I finish breakfast. Okay, I don't jump up and do the dishes. I sit there for a few minutes. Oh, and there it is. Just just rising up and let it go, and then move on and stuff. But it's like I've recaptured the sense I had when I first woke up, that I was going to go to the mountains and write my book and then live the rest of my life in bliss. It didn't happen, but now in a way it's getting back to that. So I hope you find the same things true.
I think COPD is a really sweet way to go. Yeah, I'm at probably 19% lung capacity. So I can't really get out a full sentence without breathing again.
Right.
But and of course, we are very blessed. Our daughter from England has moved here and has moved right in with us. So she's tremendous help.
Yeah, yes, that I can see why.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. It's a great teaching for me.
Oh, good. All 27 years. You taught me, now I get it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Nice. And Barbara has her hand up.
Yeah, Sherry, it's not just for Sherry, it's for everybody. Does everybody know about her wink? Sometimes I wanted to share, Sherry, that when you you wink at me, and I'm sure you must have it with others as well, but when you do that gesture, it's usually so full of, it's not possible to talk about it with what you mean, because it's so full of, there's a slight sarcasm and a slight, it's a kind of a knowing sense of nothing is that important. A combination of so many things that whenever I have experienced that with you, it has made me feel safe.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's just great.
Because I'm not conscious of it at all.
No, well, that's good, maybe. But I certainly, I'm conscious of it enough to remember it very strongly. And I thought this must be a good time to tell you that because it meant a lot to me to feel that way in this world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, Sherry, we've had a couple of living wakes at the center. One was for Jan Stoffel, which changed my life. That changed my life, going to Jan Stoffel's living wake. And then we had one more recently for Jane Sanford Harrison. I feel like we're having one for you right now, but I just want to put that out there if you wanted to have a living wake or, you know, a ceremony, a group, or I think we could pull that together.
Thank you. I think this is it.
This is it? Okay, speak up, friends. Maura?
Sherry, I've been thinking about you a lot. As a matter of fact, right when I decided to raise my hand, a beautiful heron just slowly flapped its wings right across the window here. And I think that was for you too.
Mm-hmm.
What I always love about your writings is how you, wait a minute, I have to be able to see you. Okay, whoops. What I loved about your writing when you would just share it in the class. Sorry, I just have to see you and I'm not being able to. Let's see, because I've been wanting to see you over at your house and I haven't gotten to yet. So let me try this. Excellent. When you share your stories, some of them were about our childhood, and you talk about these incidents that happened when you were young, and you were so lively and present. And I thought, wow, it'd be so. She was such a fun young person. I would love to have known her as a child. But then I realized one of the reasons it's so wonderful is that you still have that very playfulness about you that just enlivens time spent with you. So I just appreciate that. And love you very much.
Thank you.
It's Laura. I love you, Sherry, and thank you for all the times and your kindness of giving me a ride up here. That was that was so sweet of you. Anyways, much love. Many big hugs to you. Thank you for being.
Okay, Mary Song, I think it's time to draw to a close here.
Okay. Yeah, Neera's just sending you kisses. I can see that.
Here.
Okay. It's hard to sing together, but I would like to sing Ruth's birthday song for you. Your birthday just happened, and this is about more than a birthday. Okay? And y'all can join me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to me. Every day we are newborn. Every day we are free. Let's do it again. Every day we are newborn. Every day we are free. Thank you, Sherry. We love you.
Thank you, Mary Song.
Love.
Love.